Good morning, Danko. Thank you for your patience.
Cool.
Appreciate it. I appreciate Natasha at Looters for making this possible.
Okay.
So the new album, Power Trio, that you've been talking to death about, you're actually, it was announced yesterday, you're going to be doing a small tour with the Anti-Queens.
Yeah, in December, we're going to do some Ontario dates.
Yeah. My friend Samantha is actually the drummer on with the Anti-Queens. So it's kind of exciting to see her, being able to open for you guys. It's pretty cool.
Cool.
I actually did an interview with some filmmakers in New York, and the husband, it's a trio of family filmmakers in New York. And he actually interrupted me and he's like, okay, I know this isn't my interview, but he says, we all got to start off with our favorite Danko Jones song. So the mother and daughter were like, definitely First Date. His was plays the blues, or Play the Blues. Big fans. They've been following you ever since. And same with myself. I'm not just somebody who's just listening to you now because you're getting a lot of push for this album. Okay. I've been following you since First Date.
Oh, cool.
I like the campiness of that and the fun that you had with that. And you seem to just categorically seem to just be having fun making music. And I think that's awesome because, 25 years, it's nice to see you still have that heart and that passion for it. And that drive that just keeps you going.
Cool. Thanks.
And also they his band opened for you in New York. His band was called Banana Fish Zero, and they opened for you in the Continental. He remembers that precisely, and I'm like, I don't know. He doesn't think you would remember that. And I go, I don't know. I've seen some interviews with Danko and he's got a pretty good track memory. So
it's only familiar, but because you mentioned the Continental, I cannot remember. Sorry.
No, that's okay. He was doubtful you would remember. I mean, how many shows have you played, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the other thing. How I know you've done Edmonton, and you did Nova Scotia as well, just recently.
Yeah. No. Actually, those are our shows that we have yet to play. We've played Calgary and Victoriaville in Quebec.
That's okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
After all this time at home, COVID, how did it feel to get back on stage? Like it was like it.
Well, in Calgary, nobody was wearing masks or social distancing, so it wasn't the greatest feeling of ease. Victoriaville felt more of a show. There was like people wearing masks and there was enough space between the stage and the audience, and it was outdoors. So that was a little better, but I'm still waiting for, when everybody's really kind of adhering to, everyone's vaccinated and we can all really enjoy a show without having to worry about all that.
Yeah, they just announced here in BC that starting September 13th, you're going to have a passport basically to go to restaurants, to movie theaters, to concerts.
Yeah, I think that's the only way to go. I don't understand the pushback towards that.
I don't either.
Yeah, it's just makes sense. I mean, we have a passport to travel. We have to wear seatbelts, and whether people realize it or not, and I think a lot of anti-vaxxers don't realize that they're already vaxxed and they're not getting polio or smallpox because of it. Exactly. So it's just common sense thinking that I think the pandemic has shown really lacks in a large percentage of the population.
I would have to agree. I'm double vaxxed myself.
That's great.
Underlying health
glad
conditions.
You are.
Yeah, and I've got kids. It just makes sense, right? I mean, so we can get back to some sort of normal, right?
Yeah, and also for the kids' sake. I mean, as it stands right now, it's only kids 12 and up, so that leaves all the kids, younger than 12 pretty vulnerable, and people are relying on the resiliency of youth. But I mean, if we let this go long enough, I mean, the variants, who knows what'll happen. The best course of action is to protect the kids, and the elderly as well.
Yes,
It's sad to hear, yesterday Eric Wagner from Trouble died, and
yes.
he's 62 years old, so he's a senior citizen, and he was unvaccinated. So
He was
yeah,
anti-vax too, wasn't he?
I don't know if he was anti-vax, but he was traveling with Wino and the Obsessed. So
Yeah,
I don't know if that means that he was, but the fact that he was unvaccinated 18 months into a pandemic, you might lead to that conclusion. Whatever the case is, it sounds like it could have been very preventable.
yeah,
And so that's a shame. And I feel sorry for his family and his friends in trouble.
yeah, for sure. Well, and Corey Taylor just announced the other day that he's got COVID, but he's gone to social media and said, he's kind of alerted people, hey, this is real, I mean, Ted Nugent got it too. Like,
Well, Ted Nugent also said he's still not going to get the vaccine.
still,
James Hetfield said he's vaccine hesitant. And so these are people who are put on platforms and people look up to them, and whether they admit it or not, follow everything that these people do. And
yeah,
so they have a huge influential hand in whatever it is that they say. And to say stuff like that at this point in time is irresponsible. And I feel, even though I'm just a drop in the bucket, a grain of sand, I can't not say something about that. And it's terrible. Um, the hesitancy, with no evidence, with only less than a high school background in science class, you're going up against, data by epidemiologists, doctors, scientists who've studied 8 to 12 years or longer in this field. No one's going to tell James Hetfield how to play a power chord. Why would,
no.
I mean, why would I doubt a epidemiologist who's, studied, diseases for, over a decade? It's a lunacy and an idiocracy that we live in currently. But the one thing I will say is these voices are louder than the numbers that they, people maybe assume they have. And so, we got to remind ourselves the majority of people have been vaccinated, but they're just, not as loud. So it gives a false impression as to how many people are really out there.
Yeah, there's over 80% that have been vaccinated in BC. So,
I mean, that's great. I heard about the vaccine passports in BC, I think yesterday or the day before.
yes,
And we in Ontario need to follow BC's example. Unfortunately, we have a premier right now who has family members who are anti-vax and
mhm,
might be playing in some sort of role in his sluggishness to enforce this kind of stuff. And we don't have to get into politics, especially regional politics right now, but it is the party of that attracts a lot of these kinds of thinking, this kind of thinking. So, I hope Ontario implements vaccine passports soon, and it takes provinces like BC to be the example. So hopefully that changes for us.
I hope so too, because then it'll just bring everything back for everybody, right? Like,
Yeah.
just more reality. Um, I was just listening to some of the tracks before I was tardy. My favorite song has got to be Blue Jean Denim Jumpsuit. And for
Yeah.
me, it's because I'm a drummer. And whenever a song starts out with the drums, it's like my ears, it's kind of like a guitarist like yourself. You hear a certain riff and your ears kind of perk up. When it starts off with the drums, I'm just like, "Ooh."
Well, yeah, that was the first song that was finished when we were writing the record.
Oh, okay.
And that was the song that really kind of gave me the encouragement to to finish writing the album. When Rich put his drums down on JC and I's bare boned demo, when he put his drums on it, it really, the song just came to life and really showed me that we could actually write this record in isolation, apart from one another during the pandemic, and have it be on par with our old albums, and not have it sound like, yeah, they wrote it in isolation in weird way. No,
Right.
it sounds like we wrote it the same way we wrote all our albums, and we had more time because we had nothing to do for a year, and so we could overanalyze and nitpick at stuff and spend time with it as well. So I think Power Trio that's the reason why it turned out to be probably one of our strongest, if not our strongest album to date, in a weird way, because we were allowed the time during the pandemic. And usually when we make records, it's go, go, go. We have a tour to do, or we just got off a tour,
Right.
and we're really tired, but we still got to go into the studio. And it's just all go, go, go. And this was the first album ever where we wrote it with absolutely nothing else on the table, nothing pending, nothing that we just got out of and we're all kind of tired, nothing. So, in a way, it was kind of like how a band starting out gets to make their first record,
Right.
unproven, no tours, nothing else to do. It kind of felt like that. So,
Well, and I think musically, if you look at your history of your music,
mhm.
and you know what that is, and I know what that is, but you just keep growing as an artist. You just keep reaching that next level. I mean, none of these songs are like quick and they're catchy and they're a lot of fun to listen to, and like, but getting back to the recording process, because you recorded albums a certain way for so long, how different, like this was like in a shell basically, because I understand that you guys were partitioned off. You had to be the last one in. I was watching an interview with you the other day, and you said you were the last one in, but then when the recording was done, you were the first one out because you were
No, that was rehearsing the songs to go into the studio. So
okay.
that was in our rehearsal space. JC had partitioned off our rehearsal space, so he was at the farthest end in the other room, actually, because we have two rooms. He was in the other room, and Rich and I were in the main room, and we were apart from one another. And my area is closest to the doorway of our rehearsal space, so I would be the last one to come in, set up, and then we would just talk to each other through the partitions. I never even saw those guys, and then I'd leave and I wouldn't even see them. And it was weird, but as long as we can hear the music, and we could, it sounded like a normal jam for us, except for JC, because his amp was in the main room, but he was out in the other room. So he was in the second room. So it was weird for him, but for Rich and I, it sounded like a regular practice.
Right.
And then in the studio, it was 5 of us, but health guidelines at the time, I think, said 6 people allowed in a room together. There's 5 of us in the studio. We were masked up, and as much as we could, we stayed away from each other. And but we didn't violate any health guidelines to do the album, and that's very important for me. Like I'm very by the book when it comes to health. So
Right.
it was great that we were able to do this. And then of course, I think about a month and a half later, we entered into another wave, and numbers started going up, and health guidelines changed, and we realized, wow, we couldn't have done this if we had scheduled it like maybe 2 months later. So it was good that we were able to do it at the time that we did, but it was different. But like I said, I think the time that we spent with the songs, longer than any other album, kind of balanced the craziness out, because we were able to do some things that we always wanted to do but never had the luxury of doing as well. So yeah, it kind of balanced out.
So in a way, it was helpful creatively for you guys, because you were able to just expand that further than what you might have been. Like you said earlier, you might not have had that time to fine tune it, as you said.
Yeah, like a song like Good Looking was written,
Oh, I love
parts of
that
it,
song.
parts of it were written in the before the pandemic, but it wasn't finished until the pandemic. But there's parts where it's just like, there's a part where in the song where it's just me and Rich playing drums. That part was written before the pandemic, and it's parts like that that we could never write apart from one another.
Right.
It came very spontaneously, and it was only because we were jamming. So there's things like that that could get lost if we continue down this kind of way of writing. But you know, being aware of it can also avoid it. So yeah, like a song like I Want Out was written in the pandemic, finished, recorded, like it was from beginning to end. We were apart from one another until we had to play it. You know, we even, you know, we're apart when we're rehearsing it, we're apart when we were recording it, obviously. And yeah, we only played it together really when we were rehearsing it for live shows, you know, so.
Well, even the video. I mean, everybody in the video is in a singular shot, right? Like they're all wanting out of their environment because they're trapped. They feel trapped, and like it says at the start of the video, you can only feel trapped if you want to, or something like that. But at the end of the video, they're walking on the beach, guys running through the forest. You know, right. You can get out. You can get out of that.
It's a great video. Patrick Elias, who did our Fists Up High video, he did it. He lives in Sweden, so he did it out in Sweden, and we were here in Toronto, and it was great to have him there do it. He's actually doing our next video for Ship of Lies is going to be our next video. So we just saw the final cut yesterday, so it's looking pretty good. And yeah, he's great. He does all the Inflamed stuff. So.
Oh wow. Yeah, it was odd not to see you somewhere along in the video. It was just like, wow, this is just straight up.
Well, I personally hate doing videos. I really hate doing music videos, and the way Patrick does videos is like our Fists Up High video was shot in an hour, I think, maybe an hour and a half. Like for us, just that's all. He works really fast, and we only gave him, I think, 3 hours, and he was done. And so it turned out amazing. And we walked out of there. I walked out of there going, "Oh my God, that was the fastest video we've ever done," and it turned out to be really good. So, you know, we really like his work, and I hate spending a whole day on a video shoot. It's completely unnecessary, really, at this point in time.
Yeah, so. I can imagine, because you've done quite a few over the years.
I've never liked it. I mean, the first time we ever did a music video was interesting, but I quickly learned that I don't really like this.
Right.
So
you're lip syncing to your own music.
Well, it's more than just that. It's just like there's so much preparation and production that goes into it, and really you're only needed for 10 minutes. So
right.
It's a giant waste of time from my end. Of course, you know, it needs to be done. No one's taking any shortcuts, and they're doing it the proper way. But the way Patrick set up, you know, he has his own studio, so he can set it up and have you come in and out really quickly. So
nice.
It was good.
Little segue. I'll come knocking on your door, but you've got your other podcasts. You've got your podcast, the Regal Beagle podcast that you attribute to Three's Company.
Well, is that the box set with all the seasons?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, okay. Because I bought them season to season as they came out.
Yeah, this is the whole. I did too, but lost a couple of the original seasons, so I was just like, I got this $50 at Walmart. So
that's cool. Do you have the Three's a Crowd and Ropers episodes?
No, they aren't included in here. I wish they were, but they do have the original. They do have the original.
The pilot.
Thank you. The pilot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't John Ritter and everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got the Ropers and the Three's a Crowd. I've got every episode on DVD as well. So
Oh,
once I'm finished all the episodes for Three's Company, I'm going to continue on with the Ropers and Three's a Crowd.
nice. So that's something I found out just researching you is this podcast that you do, your love for Three's Company. And
Yeah, I mean, I've paused it during the pandemic. I've only done a few episodes, like maybe 3 or 4.
right.
But yeah, I plan on continuing it when things get a little better. It's hard to do anything these days just because, I mean, I had so much going and then it all stopped. And when it stopped, it really took the wind out of my sails. And I just want things to get back to normal so I can get back to normal, really. And, you know, at the top of the pandemic, I used to see all these people doing all these, you know, home videos of them playing songs and all this. And I was like puzzled as to how you can stop thinking about the pandemic and play a song was ridiculous to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I got to talk to Mark Farner last year, and I asked him because he was doing some live streams, and I asked him, how does it feel? He goes, when you're in the crowd, you know, you're performing for the crowd, you hear this roar of appreciation for the song that you just performed. He goes, when you do it online, rant. He goes,
Yeah, we did a live stream in March, and we're going to do one on Saturday, and it was the
2
same
on Saturday,
thing.
right?
Yeah, so you know, it's the same thing, but the second one on Saturday will have 50 people who bought tickets in the room.
Nice.
So it'll feel more like a live show.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. That should be fun. I've never actually seen you, even though I've been a fan for 25 years, essentially. I first heard you on 99.3 The Fox out here in Vancouver.
Right.
And you know, I've been following you ever since, and I'm a big
Oh,
fan.
cool.
I appreciate the music all the years. I mean, when I was talking to that family last week, and they were just the wife was thrashing. She goes, "Yeah, first date, first date."
Wow. Cool.
So you got some love in New York City. So, you know,
Well, we played there enough. Hopefully there is something that rubbed off.
well, John remembers you guys being totally professional. He thinks your songwriting is second to none. He's a big fan.
Cool, man. That's nice to hear.
I sent Natasha the interview, actually.
Right. Okay. Maybe I'll get it. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So it's been a thrill. It's been an honor, sir. I appreciate
Cool, man.
your time.
Right
And
on.
yeah, it's been nice. I wish you all the best, and hopefully you can make it out to Vancouver sometime soon, and we'll
Yeah,
see
hopefully.
how things go.
Yeah, sooner than later, and hopefully in 2022, we could start to get back to normal. I mean, let's be honest, hopefully by December, so we can do those Ontario dates. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd hate for that to shut down for you guys.
Yeah.
That's pretty. It was pretty cool to see the announcement yesterday. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, cool. He's doing some Canadian dates, and
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, it is. All the best to you. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir, and
You too.
hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Okay,
Maybe
man.
see you live in concert.
Yes, absolutely.
Take
All
care.
right. See you later.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.